Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Before I start my presentation, I would like to thank the supervising lecturers, Professor Corry Yohana and Mrs. Annisa Lutfia, who guided me to participate in today's session. Alright, Mr. and Mrs., I permit you to start presenting the result of my research. My name is Alviana Sachri Fauzie, and I am student in the 2019 Business Education. I raised the title Analysis of Factor Influencing Student Learning Achievement at SMKN 20 Jakarta. In this presentation, we will open with the Chapter 1, Introduction, followed by Chapter 2, a Reparatory Review, Chapter 3, Research Methods, Chapter 4, Results and Discussion, and close with the Chapter 5, Closing. As we all know, education has a crucial role impacting not only the lives of one or two people, but also the benefit of many people. That is what led me to take up the topic of educational research. The Program for International Student Assessment, commonly known as PISA, is an international level assessment study organized by the International Association for the Evaluation of Educational Achievement, or called OECD. PISA is here to evaluate the world's education system in three fields: reading, mathematics, and science. In the latest PISA test in 2018, Indonesia became one of the participants, sending 12,098 students to take the test, and the result was that Indonesia ranked 74th out of 79 participating countries. In fact, in ASEAN countries, Indonesia has scored below the average, and the Philippines and Thailand, both developing countries like Indonesia. Based on the 2018 PISA results, only 25% of Indonesian students have reading skill, 24% have math skill, and 34% are in science. This report is not a result we can be proud of. Based on this result, education in Indonesia has many things that must be addressed. Where I carried out the research at SMKN 20 Jakarta, the result of my interviews and observation yield this result in the form of report cards for students majoring in online business and marketing, which will be referred to as BDP, which result from this observation indicates that BDP students in grades 10, 11, and 12 have an average value that is consistently above the limit or KKM then the school has determined. As we can see, the highest score was 8465 in class 11 BDP1 semester 2, and the lowest score was 82 to 26 in class 11 BDP2 semester 1. Because SMK is a school that produces work-ready human resource, there is something called the Skill Competency Test, or UKK. In this test, students will test for competence in their respective areas of expertise. Based on data from the school, the BDP major obtained a 100% result in passing the competency test how. This raises a question which is used as a problem in this study. First, the 2080 PISA result need to follow the situation at SMKN 20 Jakarta. BDP SMK 20 students have average report card, score above the KKM, and have a 100 test rate for the skill competency test. Second, in contrast to PISA 2018, SMKN 20 Jakarta has many achievements, both academic and non-academic. Empirically, based on observation, the two problems present are of particular urgency, and solution need to be found to overcome this challenge. If this research is carried out, researchers can identify what is being done by SMKN 20 to support student achievement so that it can be as it is today. What is done by SMKN 20 for its students will later be adapted by other schools to improve student achievement. Next is Chapter 2, the literature review. This study used B.F. Skinner's behavioristic theory as the grand theory. In behavioristic theory, there is such a thing as operant conditioning. Operants include reinforcement and punishment. Self-reinforcement means the influence of behavior which further strengthens specific behavior. There are two types of reinforcement, namely positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement. Positive reinforcement takes the form of a more substantial stimulus and will create the desired response, while negative reinforcement encourages students to avoid unwanted response. The theory is essential for teaching practice to get or achieve the desired student achievement. Learning is not just memorizing, but also having to understand in order to be able to create positive change in attitude and behavior in all aspects that are mastered and understood. Next is student learning achievement. According to Kurniawati, student achievement is an achievement after tracking the stage of teaching and learning that have been taken in a certain time, whether in the form of change in behavior, skill, or knowledge. Next, the teacher-student relationship. According to Sairong and Supartini, teacher-student relationship is communication that occurs between teachers and students that has a clear purpose and is in accordance with educational goals at its standard. And teacher-student relationship can only occur with a good communication skills. And then teaching style, according to Putra et al., teaching style is a system that is structured to operate or shape learning in order to achieve a positive teacher-student relationship. The school environment, according to Knepper, the school environment is the norms and expectation that exist in the school, including students' feeling or safety and comfort, the school cycle and school environment, school buildings, student ability to build positive relationship, mutual respect, and student ability to develop social and emotional relationships healthy with others. The last one is family environment. According to Hanifa Joharman and Suhartono, the family environment is all parties who have blood ties or descendants who have a role in influencing person behavior, growth, and self-development. Researchers in research will later use these variables X1 teacher-student relationship, X2 teaching style, X3 school environment, X4 family environment, and Y is the student achievement, which produce research model and hypothesis as follows. Hypothesis 1, the student-teacher relationship has a positive effect on a student achievement. Hypothesis 2, teaching style affects student achievement. Hypothesis 3, school environment has effect on student achievement. And hypothesis 4 is family environment has a positive effect on student achievement. Next, there is the research method. This research was conducted at SMKN 20 South Jakarta using quantitative research methods with a total population of students majoring in online business and marketing, 204 students, all of whom were used as research respondents. The study used primary data by distributing questionnaires to respondents, using Likert as an assessor, and secondary data in the form of student report cards for BDP that the researcher obtained from the school. Researchers conducted validity and reliability tests in testing variable indicators that would be used in the questionnaire. And then researchers used the same test to test the hypothesis using Amos software version 24. Next, we will discuss the result of distributing the questionnaire. Table 1, there is a description of respondents' data profile based on gender. Out of 204 respondents, there were 86 male respondents, or as much as 42%, and 118 female respondents with a percentage of 58%. In Table 2, there is a profile of respondents based on class. Of the 24 respondents, there are 67 BDP class X student or 33%. There are 72 BDP class 11 respondents or as many as 35%, and 12 BDP class respondent as many 60 or 32%. Furthermore, the result of the validity and reliability test, the listed factors describe a solid construction if the factor has loading value of 1.3 or higher. So it is stated that the factor lists are valid by looking at the value of Cronbach alpha on statistical reliability. If Cronbach alpha more than 1.7, listed instrument is declared reliable. Table 1 of the teacher-student relationship variable shows that the factor loading values all have values above 1.3, with the lowest value being 1.734 and the highest being 1.883. And Cronbach alpha value is 1.9914. Based on the results, indicator of the teacher-student relationship variable can be declared valid and reliable. Table 2 of the teaching style variable with the lowest factor loading value of 1.684 and the highest of 1.865. Furthermore, Cronbach alpha value is 1.836. This result proves that the indicators on teaching style variable are valid and reliable. Next, the following table. The following table contains school environment variables, which have the lowest factor loading value of 1.688 and the highest of 1.879, with a Cronbach alpha value of 1.96. This result proves that the indicators on the school environment variable are valid and reliable. The last table contains indicator of family environment variables with the lowest factor loading value of 1.772 and the highest 1.897, with a Cronbach alpha value of 1.9891, and the result proves that all indicators of this variable are valid and reliable. Next, there is a hypothesis test. Researchers use the structural equation modeling or SAM with almost 24 versions. It can be seen in the table on the screen of the 4 research hypotheses. From the result of this calculation, the researchers got the result and only the first hypothesis was accepted among all the hypotheses. This will be explained in the next slide. The first hypothesis, the teacher-student relationship with student achievement, produced a smaller probability value of 1.15. There is 1.141 and a critical ratio value greater than 19060 is 2001.143. This means that the first hypothesis of the researcher can be accepted because there is a positive and significant influence between the variable teacher-student relationship and student achievement with a value of 1.742. The second hypothesis, teaching style on student achievement, produced a probability value greater than 1.15. There is 1.375 and a critical ratio value smaller than 109060. There is minus 1.087. This means that the second hypothesis of the researcher was rejected because the teaching style did not positively affect student achievement. And then the third hypothesis, the school environment on student achievement, produced a probability value 1.783 and a critical ratio value smaller than 109060, namely 0.275. This means that the researcher's third hypothesis was rejected because the school environment didn't positively influence student achievement. And then the fourth hypothesis, the family environment on student achievement produced a probability value greater than 1.15, namely 1.953, and a critical ratio value smaller than 109060, namely 0.058. This means that the researcher fourth hypothesis was rejected because the family environment didn't positively influence student achievement. Because many hypotheses have yet to be tested with previous research models, it is proof then the research model results in more hypotheses being rejected or not accepted compared to accepted hypotheses. Therefore, along the way in research, the researcher developed an alternative research model that the researcher didn't claim to make. The output result of alternative research model using a MOS are as follows. This alternative research model results in 3 hypotheses being accepted and only 1 research hypothesis being rejected. Let's move on to the next slide for discussion. Okay, based on the calculation result of alternative research models, the first hypothesis, the relationship between student features and student achievement, is accepted based on probability value of 0.001 and a critical ratio value of 3195. And then the second hypothesis, teaching style on student achievement, is accepted based on probability value and a credit ratio value of 7,205. And the third hypothesis, school environment influence student achievement, is rejected because based on a probability value of 0.348 and a critical ratio of 0.939. And the fourth hypothesis, family environment and student achievement, are accepted based on a probability value and a critical ratio value of 7,025. From all the elaboration of the result of this study, it can be concluded that hypothesis 1, student-teacher relationship, has affected on student achievement. Hypothesis 2 is accepted, teaching style has effect on student achievement. Hypothesis 3 is rejected, school environment has no effect on student achievement. Hypothesis 4 is accepted, family environment has affected on student achievement. Next is research limitation. The limitation of researchers are, of course, from the knowledge of researchers who still need to improve in writing or compiling the scientific work. And researchers are very open to suggestion and input from readers. Another drawback is that the researchers only use samples from one department, which only includes student majoring in online business and marketing at SMKN 20 Jakarta. Researchers only use 4 variables to examine the factors that influence student achievement at SMKN 20 Jakarta. Based on the result of the data and conclusion of the researchers described above, the following are recommendations expected to be useful for researchers and readers. First, subsequent research adds to the range of research by adding students from other majors or other schools. Future research can add other variables that affect student achievement, and then further research can reference both nationally and internationally. Alright, we have passed the end of the chapter in this thesis assembly. Thank you for your attention, and again to my 2 supervisors who guided me to this stage. Thank you to the examiner lecturers and all the staff who play a role in carrying out the UNJ Faculty of Economics student thesis session. That is all the explanation from me. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.